And now if you will rise in either body or spirit to say our affirmation together as the Foster family, Steve, Talise, and Iris come forward to light our chalice and our Advent candles. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need. For these high purposes do we unite in worship.
And I've been asked to say a couple words to light the chalice as well. So this is number 553 in the book. Don't feel like you need to get there. You're welcome to just listen. It says, Earth, cure me. Earth, receive my woe. Rock, strengthen me. Rock, receive my weakness. Rain, wash my sadness away. Rain, receive my doubt. Sun, make sweet my song. Sun, receive the anger from my heart. And that's courtesy of Nancy Wood.
So once again, good morning to everyone. It's good to see you this morning. You light up the grayness of the day. Thank you for being here. Listen to a reading by Jackie James. It was published in 1991. It's been around for a long time, but it's one of my favorite readings, especially regarding this time of year we're moving into. Black male, black list, black mark, Black Monday, Black Mood, Black-Hearted, Black Plague, Black Mass, Black Market. Good guys wear white, bad guys wear black. We fear black cats and the dark continent, but it's okay to tell a white lie. Lily white hands are coveted. It's great to be as pure as the driven snow. Angels and brides wear white. Devil's food cake is chocolate. Angel food cake is white. We shape language and are shaped by it. Ascribing negative and positive values to black and white enhances the institutionalization of racism. Let us acknowledge that there are negative connotations of whiteness. Conversely, we must acknowledge that darkness has a redemptive character, that in darkness there is power and beauty. Welcome darkness. Don't be afraid of it. Darkness brings relief from the blinding sun, from scorching heat, from exhausting labor. Night signals permission to rest, to be with loved ones, to conceive new life, to search our hearts, to remember our dreams. The dark of winter is a time of hibernation. Seeds grow in the dark, fertile earth. The words black and white don't need to be destroyed or ignored, only balanced and reclaimed in their wholeness. We need both, dark and light, light and dark. Words by Jackie James. Well, it's that time of year again. Every day, a bit darker and colder. Each day, the sun comes up further in the south. The earth seems dead. Leaves have fallen from trees, branches are bare. There have been significant snowfalls in the mountains and a little bit here in town. The winter solstice is approaching. This is quite a change from that summer heat I drove through across the country when I moved here to Colorado last summer. Mother Nature's increasing darkness at this time of year may exacerbate feelings of personal darkness that can arise at any point on the calendar. Perhaps feelings of detachment or loneliness, feelings of being cut off from a spirit of life and of love. Detachments can feel like little deaths, as some call these dark periods. Perhaps some of us have recently experienced personal darkness. Perhaps there have been challenges in your own life or the lives of your loved ones. Perhaps the COVID pandemic has stretched your endurance and your resilience. Perhaps you've been unlucky in love or job searching or financial matters. Or perhaps you're just caught in a rut. Such phases of darkness are part of life, part of what it means to be human. Our soul's dark nights then can be especially compounded at this darkening time on the calendar. Holiday celebrations might offer some relief, but for some, holidays make the darkness worse. During the holidays, we may regret being alone when we'd much prefer to be with others, or we might regret spending time with others when we'd much rather be alone. It's not only individuals who experience darkness. Groups and organizations can too. Cycles of dark and light. It's part of organizational culture, especially during times of change. By and large, we humans are change-resistant creatures. We do not like change, even change that is for our own good, because accepting change means risking the unknown. Many would prefer to keep things just the way they are. Phases of uncertainty, such as transitioning ministry here at UUFD, may include some going into what we refer to as liminal space, as we risk the unknown and explore new territory. The Buddhist writer Pema Chodron has helped me understand the range of emotions that emerge during darkness and uncertainty. In her book, When Things Fall Apart, she reflects on the most common response to darkness, which is fear. She wrote, "Fear, a universal experience. Even the smallest insects feel it. We wade in the tidal pools and put our finger near the soft, open body of sea anemones, and they close up. Everything potentially does that. It's not a terrible thing that we feel fear. It's part of being alive, something we all share. We react against the possibilities of loneliness, of death, of not having anything to hold on to," unquote from Pema Chodron. Alas, one consequence then of fear is denial of reality. So Chodron continues with these words, "In a state of denial, you can't hear anything that doesn't fit your fixed identity. Even something positive, like you're kind, or you did a great job, or you have a wonderful sense of humor, is filtered through fixed identity. You can't take it in unless it's already part of your self-definition." So as Chodron writes, Buddhists call fixed identity ego clinging. When we're locked in a fixed idea of how things should be, we tend to regard life around us as either a threat or a promise. Fixed identity can be false security. When we don't like someone, it's generally because they challenge our fixed identity. The bright side of change is that fear indicates that we're moving closer to truth. When we feel fear, we're on the way to truth. Individuals not in our wavelength may actually be our greatest teachers. Pema Chodron also reminds us that one purpose of spiritual development is to learn to take off our armor, to remove those defenses. As we pursue a healthy spiritual life, what matters is not if we experience darkness, because we will at some point in our life, but how we respond when we do encounter it. When you're in a place that scares you, do you react with hesitancy or regret, or maybe even depression? You might even be scared of darkness before it arrives. Fear of the fear maybe even worse than the darkness itself. In contrast, children encourages us to confront our fears, to trust the dark. She encourages us to become familiar with fear, look it right in the eye, and undo old ways of seeing, smelling, tasting, and thinking. The truth is that when we really learn to live with fear, we're going to be constantly humbled, because confronting our fears brings out courage to help us step forward a little further into new experiences. Luckily, Mother Earth reminds us about the importance of dark periods. In winter, in spite of appearances, Mother Earth isn't really dead, only dormant. In winter, seeds in the ground are preparing to sprout. Roots are replenishing, waiting to grow even stronger than they were last season. The earth itself, along with all the hibernating animals, are preparing for the next generation. With Earth as our model, then, friends, we can see personal darkness as periods of waiting, gestating, preparing for transformation that comes when we finally emerge into new light and new warmth. The dark is a time for growth. You know, those doggone growth experiences and opportunities. Another spiritual writer named Parker Palmer, who's the originator of the Circles of Trust program that I plan to offer after the new year to this congregation, lives in Wisconsin. Parker offers similar advice about winter in Wisconsin. Anybody from Wisconsin? You'll relate to what Parker is saying. Parker says winter in Wisconsin is the psychological equivalent of fear that Pema Chodron talks about. He urges Wisconsinites to overcome that tendency to hibernate. He says, get out into the cold, face it. Don't shy away from fear and depressions, but get into them, embrace them at any time of the year. And he learned his lesson about fear when he was on an outward bound rock climbing trip. Secured by ropes, he was learning to rappel down a mountain, and he had to push himself away from a niche in the rock face and hang free, hundreds of feet above the ground. This was the only way to get around an abutment. He learned to trust this experience so that the next time he entered one of the periods of clinical depression that he's been prone to, depression that moved him from feeling alive, he had faith that he would come out of it. His depressions were horrible, but he's come to trust that he will experience transformation when he emerges into new life. He learned to trust on that rock wall on Outward Bound. How do you respond to darkness, to places that scare you, to liminal spaces or liminal activities such as this transitioning ministry? Does it feel risky? Do you feel vulnerable? It's hard to admit we may not be in control. We may clutch on to any habits and actions that can restore a sense of being in charge, of being in command. Both Chodron and Parker call us to trust the places of risk, which are also sources of spiritual, emotional, and mental growth. When we do trust, we open ourselves to transformation, because taking risks means abandoning egos, exposing our vulnerabilities, branching into new arenas. We would probably never realize new realms of creativity in sports, in love, in art, in life, if we didn't take risks. Certainly, I know that in performing music, some of the most creative moments have occurred when I, as a performer, have taken risks to go for it. And if I didn't take risks out on the ski slope, I would never see that new vista just beyond the next chairlift that I'd never dared to ride before. If congregations didn't pursue interim ministry, they might never explore new ways of being together as faith communities. isn't transformation one of the main reasons we engage in religion in the first place? Change and transformation. Indeed, we're all currently living in a number of liminal places. And during reflection time after the service, I invite us to reflect on how you define liminal and when you are living in a liminal place, a threshold place, neither here nor there, neither totally in the known or the unknown. Some people say that genuine transformation happens only when we are in those liminal spaces because it means we're open to change. When our souls are open, we can find more clarity about what's been keeping us from living fully authentic selves. Courage can help us be like Jonah. Remember Jonah, who ended up in the belly of a whale? Once he found himself in the whale, he assumed he was powerless. Let's face it, friends, whale bellies don't have a lot going for them. Jonah was trapped in the belly of the whale because he avoided listening to his God. Once he could agree to travel to a place where God had sent him, where he expected his presence would be useless, he was able to emerge from the whale as a hero. In the darkness of the whale, he was transformed. Through dark nights, we too have the potential for transformation. About 10 years ago, I spent a month in Stockholm, Sweden, around this time of year. Now, if you want confirmation that darkness is an essential part of the human condition, spend winter in Scandinavia. It is dark a lot there. There were only about 4 hours of daylight when I left around this time. I admit it. Even as an adult, I used to be afraid of the dark. I lost that fear in Stockholm. I knew if I didn't go out in the dark, I'd never go out. And I'd miss seeing a beautiful city, especially decked in holiday lights. I took a risk. I went out in the dark. But there was also something going on about ridding myself of well-ingrained stereotypes about dark and evil. There in Sweden, I came to experience the dark as a friend, as comfort, not as enemy. It's no surprise that most religions in the world view darkness as a source of transformation. Different religious traditions work out darkness in different ways. Some hold up the dark for its redemptive quality, a way to get to salvation. Christians, for example, observe the darkness as a crucified Christ is to the atonement. Some religions have developed myths to explain why bad things happen to good people, as Rabbi Harold Kushner once said, talking about myths from apple trees or floods that cover the earth, bad things that happen to good people. Buddhists say that all is suffering, which increases all the more if we attempt to hold on to that which is fleeting. Ancient pagan cultures used to sacrifice animals, maybe even humans, to minimize the darkness their gods inflicted on them. It's also no surprise that at this time of year, religious rituals remind us that goodness, light, and rebirth will return. We light 4 candles, as we've done 2 of them today on the Advent candle. In this time of year, Hindus celebrate the festival of Diwali, the festival of lights. 8 candles are on the Hanukkah menorah. And Swedes honor Santa Lucia Day, which I had a chance to observe on December 13th when I was in Sweden. Christmas, recognizing the birth of babies, comes close to the winter solstice. That's no coincidence. So many rituals include light and greenery to symbolize for us humans renewal and rebirth. What fears of the dark are you carrying? Are there arenas in your personal life or life in this congregation where you fear taking risks? How do you respond to the dark and to the risk? With frustration and resistance, or maybe acceptance and openness? Do you run from uncomfortable situations? Perhaps you're able to stay with the dark, to stay with the discomfort until it transitions into light. My friends, I encourage us to face the darkness, like Parker Palmer did on that rock wall. Take risks, confront our fears. Now, I'm not saying go seek out those dark nights because the hurt will be so good for you. I do not believe that only through suffering can we become creative. What I do believe is that the dark need not be negative and uncertain. Our attitudes can do much to shape how we react to dark nights, especially dark nights brought about by change. Luckily, midwinter holidays offer many opportunities for support. You can be your own support. Help yourself through the darkness. Light your own lights, symbolic or real. Light an Advent wreath or a menorah, or put candles in your windows. Bring greens inside or mistletoe. Take advantage of seasonal worship services here. Turn to others for support. I think I know this congregation pretty well by now. I know that when one of you is frightened, others are there for you, to reassure you, to hold your hands, to sing quietly, to share your stories, as one of our hymns says. Parker Palmer's friend Bill was there for him when Parker went into clinical depressions so deep that the only place he could feel was through his feet. Truly, this is a true story. Bill came every day and massaged Parker's feet. He couldn't even talk, but he could feel Bill's unconditional love. Eventually, a door opened, and Parker came out of depression. Bill showed Parker compassion, and they both grew from it. If you need support from others, seek it out and offer your support to others. Tell those around you that you value their friendship and that you will be there for them if they ever need a foot massage. As we near the solstice and the official start of winter, may we let Mother Earth remind us that winter marks dormancy, not death, that new light and new life does await us. Over the coming weeks, in community worship, we will celebrate children through the pageant next Sunday, and then 2 Sundays from today, a service of song and meditation that's in the Taizé style. And then, of course, we celebrate the candle lighting service on Christmas Eve. This congregation has so much to celebrate and ways of expressing, bringing light into the darkness. Winter, a time of necessary renewal, so that spring blossoms may emerge. Just as the earth is transformed in hibernation, so can we be transformed through darkness at any time of the year. May we welcome the dark in all its manifestations. May we also welcome the light, the love, the consequences of taking risks, the renewal. My friends, may all this be so.